Hello and welcome back to another Sunday school lesson. Um, Before we start, I got this great impression just before I plugged in to do this video, and it was that I was inspired to buy this game, which to my ears sounds really weird. I mean, why would you be inspired to buy a video game? Um, but it is just not just for play style. This is for me the funnest Assassin's Creed game, and really the only Assassin's Creed game that I would consider playing over and over again. But also, it's given me the opportunity to present it and do it in these videos, and it feels 100% correct that I do my Sunday school lessons while walking around as Evie and Victoria in London in these few little areas like Buckingham Palace and the park and so on. So yeah, that just came to me just before there, and it just amazes me the mediums that the Lord can use to kind of help us to convey His message. It's just, at least for me, it's absolutely amazing that you know a a video game, any type of video game, could be used to convey this sort of message. It's just absolutely amazing. Anyway, let's get on to the lesson. We're in Jacob 5 through 7. It is a day late, so I do apologize for that, but it's the Lord laborers with us. And it includes, of course, Jacob 5. Now, Jacob 5 is the longest chapter in the Book of Mormon. It has 77 verses, and most of them are pretty long verses. And it's probably one of the hardest reads because it's so metaphorical, and it's a really hard read, especially when you were younger. I remember struggling through it when I was younger, and even as an adult, I'm like, let's see, where am I? Oh, I have a lot of reading to do tonight when I read my scriptures. But still, it's actually one of the most interesting parts of the Book of Mormon, at least for me. The metaphor, the comparison of Israel to the olive tree in it, which has been used many times in the Bible, is so perfect in this, in Jacob 5. The use of the allegory and the metaphor is so perfect, and it's just such a wonderful verse that it's I have heard a few scholars say that this is one of the few things that absolutely proves that the Book of Mormon was written by inspiration, not just by the creativity of people in the 19th century. I know plenty of people who would dispute that, so I'm not going to say that as an absolute fact, but it is a truly incredible chapter. I do recommend, whether you're a member of the church or not, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, of course, to actually take a look at Jacob 5 and read it, and then, look at the symbolism and the metaphor and all that stuff in it as it compares Israel to an olive tree. But anyway, let's get on to the lesson. The first point in the lesson is a question, which is, what is an allegory? And, of course, we all know an allegory is a large reptile which grabs you in its massive jaws and then tells you a long, meandering story. Oh, wait, no. Sorry, so, what my family would call grandpa humor, right there. An allegory is basically a story that appears to be about one thing, but conveys in it a message for another thing. I think Kipling's, what is it? Just So stories, I believe. That was Kipling, right? It's been a while, but anyway, there are plenty of allegories out there, mostly for children to kind of have them, convey great lessons to them, but while also entertaining them. And that's really what Jacob 5 is. It's an allegory that can be appreciated on many levels. If you have no appreciation for the scriptural or spiritual content, you can still enjoy it as a story. I was going to say that's not how you should enjoy it, but I'm going to backtrack that and say that's a good start to the allegory. And really, however you see the allegory is actually 100% fine. That's where you are at. But yes, so in this case, this is an allegory of the olive tree, and it the vineyard represents the world, and the olive tree represents Israel, or those who have made a covenant with Israel, not Israel directly. And the wild olive tree represents the Gentile nations, and Gentile being defined as those who have not made a covenant with God. So, it is well worth studying, and it's a hugely complicated story, but let's get on with it. So, the Lord of the Vineyard, as mentioned in the allegory, is the one who's telling people that, what to do with the olive tree. That is Jesus Christ. That's what the symbolism is. So, I'm going to have to actually pause here and kind of break down the chapter. Let's see, is that good view of Buckingham Palace here? And me in the shade a little bit. All right. So basically, it is a long chapter, but it's broken down into several parts, at least in this chapter. So let me read them out to you. So verses 3 through 14 specifically talk about the the symbolism in those are the scattering of Israel before the time of Christ. Verses 15 through 28 is the ministry of Christ and the apostles. Verses 29 to 49 is the great apostasy. Verses 50 to 76 is the gathering of Israel in the latter days. And verses 76 and 77 is the millennium and end of the world. There's also a diagram that comes with this lesson. I'd recommend you look it up because there's no way I can convey it in just mere words. It's pretty complicated, but it's also, it's very helpful if you want to really explore and study the allegory of the olive tree. But it's a great metaphor, highly recommended to pretty much everyone. So let's move on with this. So in the allegory, Jacob speaks of other servants who were called into Lord's vineyard to help, gathering the seeds and taming the olive tree and do that sort of thing. And what these other servants refer to is essentially everyone who is called to spread the word of God. So, me, you, pretty much every member of the church is called to spread the word of God. Anyone who feels inspired to spread the word of God is also included in this. So basically, anyone who works and spreads the word of God are these other servants who are called in to tame that one. And, it's an invitation that's open to everyone. This is not just like a closed invitation. You have to be this or that. It is an open invitation to anyone who wishes to share the word of God, that they can go out and share the word of God. Jesus Christ invites us to help him gather his children of Israel in the last days. And it is an incredible gift. It's like, have you ever seen a child, a young child, interested in what a parent is doing, and the parent, will painstakingly talk the child through, what they're doing, how they should do it, and so on. And it could be from anything from, actually playing video games to working on a car to, just, writing things up and so on, where the parent will calmly and patiently allow the child to help. And, with the child, it takes 10 times, even 100 times longer to be able to do something. But, it's a great gift for the parent because that's how they teach the child to do it for themselves. But it's also, that's essentially what the Lord is doing with us. He could easily gather everyone in the world, and convey the message to them. Just, boom, like that. He could easily do it. I think recent years, advances in technology has shown that he does have a great ability to do that. I mean, really, the internet is still a pretty new technology. It's been around for about 40 years, been publicly available for about 30 years, give or take. And, it's... we didn't have it before then, but now we can communicate worldwide, and we have these new tools to do it. And I think the fact that it came about, that it came so quickly, is just a sign that, hey, God could just talk to everybody in the world at once and give them the opportunity. But he doesn't do that. He allows us to help him. And I think that is one of the most exceptional gifts. that we can get. It's helpful to us, just as it helps us learn, for one thing, how to do it, how to talk to people, how to spread the word. But it also allows us to be a part of something that could be denied to us. We could just say, oh, yep, the word will get out there. Let's just stay at home and play video games. Instead, we can get out there. We can communicate with people. And even now, with the virus going around, with all, the shutdowns and self-imposed quarantines and all that stuff going on, we still have the tools available to us to communicate across the world. And, we can do that, in our small little way. Now, for me, I'm not communicating with very many people with these videos. I've had a couple that had 50 or more views, but most of them have less than 10 views. But, it's still a way I can record my thoughts and feelings about the lesson. And, if I'm lucky, share it with a few people who will really love and appreciate this. And I think that's one of the wonderful things about this new technology, with the world the way it is now, is that even in the most dire circumstances, we can still share with each other just the wonderful nature of the Lord, of life, and we don't even have to leave our home. And it's an incredible miracle and blessing, and it's really awesome that God allows us this blessing, this opportunity. So I just can't express my gratitude enough to him for giving us this opportunity and allowing us to share. It is truly wonderful. So we'll kind of move past Jacob 5 for the moment. We'll move into Jacob 7 and 1 point on it. So at the end of Jacob, a antichrist, or someone who not just disagreed with political views but actively opposed, or not political, what am I saying? Not just disagreed with Jacob's religious views, but also actively opposed his religious views, named Sherem, shows up and challenges Jacob. And we have actually some interesting writing where Sherem, talked really well. He was very convincing. And there are people out there who are incredibly convincing when they talk. They're essentially like, really good salesmen, really good people. And you will hear a lot of convincing voices out there who will try to convince you that, hey, God doesn't exist, none of this is real, and they'll be incredibly convincing at it. And Sherem was apparently one of these really convincing people. And he came to Jacob and attempted to convince Jacob of this, and Jacob's first response, no matter how convincing he was, he couldn't convince Jacob. And Jacob said, wait, I know the Lord. I've been in his presence. I've seen visions and angels. You cannot convince me I have not seen these sort of visions and these sort of things. You just can't do it. And, while we may not have had visitations from angels or, seen the Lord with our own eyes, we can still withhold our faith. Our faith, each person's faith is his own thing. But our faith can be strong enough that we can look at it and say, no, I know the truth, and you cannot change that. It kind of harkens back. When Joseph Smith, after he had his first vision, he shared it with a friend of his who was a preacher, and to his surprise, the preacher got really mad at him, told him it was all a lie, said that, God doesn't, angels don't visit with people anymore. You didn't see anything. You're just lying. And the word of him having seen this vision spread around, and a lot of people went out of their way to say, no, you didn't. This didn't happen. This didn't do it. And Joseph Smith's, final response was, you cannot convince me otherwise. I know what I saw. And we can have that same surety of our faith. We can know what we believe, and we can express it in that terms, that no matter how we are challenged in our beliefs, we will know what is what is true, what is right. We will have that absolute knowledge, you know, as it will no longer be faith. It will be absolute knowledge that we will have. And we can all reach that point. And, you know, basically the basic, what I generally call Sunday school answers are there. Read, study, pray. Have an active desire for this and pray daily that your testimony will be strengthened to that point. And you will be able to basically say like Jacob did when confronted with people who are very smooth talkers and who are very educated. When they tell you that, nope, everything you believe is a lie and not true, and this is why, you'll be able to say, no, I know what is true. It requires a lot of hard work, a lot of time and effort on our part, but ultimately, it is worth it. Sorry, I just thought that we should pan a little bit for a moment, look at the woods around us, look at it, just occurred to me. So, let me see if there's anything else in these lessons that we should do. Let's see. So, in Jacob 6, which is kind of Jacob talking about the allegory, it mentions that the Lord has the arm of mercy extended towards us. And that we should take advantage of it. We should. That the Lord will cleave unto us if we cleave unto him. Now, cleave doesn't mean to separate in this sense. It means, you know, we'll stick together even closer than before. It'll be like, you know, we glued ourselves to someone else. Or we glued ourselves to the Lord, I should say. It'll be just like that. He will stick with us if we stick with him. And I think that is really an exceptional promise that we have. There's just so many amazing things in scriptures. I feel like I repeat myself a lot by just being amazed by them, but truth is I do feel amazed. I do feel very blessed that we have all these things. And the idea that, you know, the Lord will be on our side no matter how hard it gets is an exceptional promise. You know, all we have to do is stick with him and we'll have that promise. So anyway, that is the lesson. Let me know what you think about the allegory. Like and subscribe if you like this. I will see you in the next video. Bye.